Thought I would do a quick lesson on how to anchor in the snow because anchor is probably one of the hardest things people have with boating, or top 5 at least. And I know it's weird doing it in the snow, but I thought this would be a really good illustration of how anchors work. And this, of course, is not a very expensive. It's a cheap Danforth or Fluke style anchor, and I don't have any chain on it, but just give you an idea what it's like. When I go to anchor, one of the challenges folks don't realize is the scope, or that is the amount of line between me and the anchor, matters. And one of the general rules of thumb is 7 to 10 lengths of line vertically for everyone. Horizontal. Let me try that again. One of the rules of thumb is 7 to 10 lengths of line horizontally for every foot vertically. Now, generally in life, it tends to be more in a 3 to 5 range, so maybe it's 3 to 5 lengths horizontally for everyone vertically. But what I'm going to try to show you here is what happens when folks go and anchor is they let the anchor out, but they don't let out a lot of line. So let's pretend the snow is the bottom of the water body, and up here is the boat. And what happens is if you don't let out a lot of line, the anchor doesn't catch. And if you notice, this shaft is up, it's like lifted up in the air, and so those flukes are not pointing at the bottom of the water body, so they drag. And that's probably why a lot of boats tend to drift when they anchor, is they have not let out a lot of line. But now if I let out more line, or something more in the line of what I should, like right there, I just let out more, and then I do this, you see how those flukes, oh, there they go. They dig in the bottom, and right now there you go, I can just move that a little bit. But if you notice now, like look how well that starts to dig. And that's what's happening on the bottom of the water body, but notice how much more line I have out. I'm gonna let this out a lot more and pull on it, and just notice that shaft here on the anchor is parallel with the bottom of the water body, and those flukes are now pointed down and digging in like a plow. So when I pull on it, like it wants to plow into the bottom of the water body. And so that's what's really helping me stick. Now in this particular case, you can see I've got a lot of snow on there that builds up, and the bottom of the water body wouldn't act in a similar manner. And that's why folks have a hard time anchoring, is because they don't let out enough line. So once again, if I drop my anchor, I let out a lot of line and the boat drifts backwards, kind of like I am right now. Oh, look how that digs in. And now once it's dug in, it's holding my boat. So this is in snow and I weigh 180 pounds, and look, it's holding me. The next thing, when it's time to pull up my anchor, I can pull my boat back to that anchor, and don't worry, it's not going to get stuck, because when I get close to it and I start to get vertical, ready? Flip. I can use a little bit of my boat leverage and a lever there to just pop that anchor out and hoist it up and put it back in my boat. I hope that's helpful. I don't know if there's any questions there about that. This is snow and not the bottom of a water body, but I hope that gives you a little perspective on how to anchor, is to let out a lot of line, and I'll pretend I'm the boat drifting backwards. And as I do that, oh look, it digs in. Isn't that kind of neat? And like, that is dug in. I don't have any anchor chain on it or anything like that. And one of the things the anchor chain does is, if I had chain on the front of that anchor, it makes the line lay on the bottom of the water body, so it pulls horizontally and it digs in. And that's in there. That's really in there. So if you're in that case where that's in there like that, don't fret, because when I go to pick up that anchor, as I pull myself back to the boat, once I get back to it and I go vertical, I'm just vertical, pops right out. That easy. So I hope that's helpful. Have any questions, feel free to reach out. I know it's not boating season. I know this is kind of weird that I'm out here in the snow playing with an anchor, but whatever we can do to add some value and make things a little more clear, that's what we're here for. Ray from Bridge Marina.
Someone just asked on TikTok, where's your chain?
I know there's no chain on there. I was just trying to show folks that how the anchor works, but if I had chain on there, it would work even better. But I don't even have chain on there, and watch how this thing works. When I pull away, oh, it's in there. And they may ask too, why is it such a cheap anchor? Just this happens to be a cheap anchor that was kind of laying around, so I thought I'd use it. But imagine if you did have chain on there, and that chain, if this part of the line was chain instead, it would be heavy, and that the weight keeps that line down nice and parallel with the bottom of the water body, and that's what lets dig in. I appreciate the question. What we're doing here is just trying to show folks how an anchor works, because it's kind of a mystery to a lot of folks because they don't get to see the bottom of the water body. But I didn't realize, like, boy, the snow makes a great example of how this thing works in the bottom of the water. I should go get a mushroom style anchor. You can show how that thing works, right? That'd be kind of neat. Maybe we'll do that too. Does anybody want to see what a mushroom anchor does in the bottom of the water body? Anybody out there? No? I don't know. What do you guys think? And give me 2 seconds. I have to go get one out of a boat.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, you want to hang out or just come with me?
Yeah, I'll go with you.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave this thing here. Come on with me. I got one of these pontoon boats, I'm sure. Guarantee we got one sitting somewhere. Yeah, hold on. Hold on 1 second. So a lot of our pontoon boats here on the lake will use, yep, there we go. We'll use a river anchor. And it's called a river anchor because it's really a mushroom anchor. However, oh, there's another one of my favorites. Anyway, it's basically, it looks like a mushroom. However, it's got some cutouts in it so that instead of just being a bulbous mushroom, they kind of have 3 flukes on it. So let me grab some line here. And if you're watching, this is one of my favorite things when the line's a mess. If you watch any of our content, it's always my favorite. Anyway. All right. So now, if you notice as well, this thing's a lot heavier too. Like, I'm heavy this thing out here. And I realized too, somebody just grabbed me a mushroom anchor, similar test with here. All right. I appreciate you guys watching. Again, Ray here from Marina in Lake Apatcong, New Jersey. And we're just out here playing in the snow because we realized a couple minutes ago, I said, wow, snow would act like a great representation of the water body's bottom of the water body when you're anchoring. So I'm gonna do a little test here. We just did the Danforth type anchor, and now we're gonna go with a mushroom. And one of the big differences on this mushroom, I don't know if you can see it, but this is a 20-pound mushroom anchor, and this is probably a 6-pound Danforth. Style way different. This one's pretty heavy. This one's really light. And it's meant to be that because, you know, I like to say it's a little bit of a dumb anchor. Because here, watch real quick when I drop this in the snow. I don't know if you saw that. But when I drop that in, let me drop this one in. That one kind of bounces on the snow. But if I were to set my anchor in the water body and then the boat drift away, see how it turned on its side? And it's already starting to dig in. And what's digging in is those 2 flukes plus the weight of that anchor. And if I let out more line and do that, it's really digging in. And, oh, there we go, slid out. But it's really digging in, and it's using the weight of the anchor to dig in. So these river anchors, kind of look at the way this is, it's kind of like chopping into or digging into the water body using that. So once again, let me do it over here. The thing's heavy. On the top there, if I were to drop my anchor and let my boat drift away, it turns over, and then once it turns over, it starts to dig in. But if you notice, I'm gonna let out a lot more line now too, it doesn't dig in as well. And the reason being is it's got big, those flukes are kind of big and not meant to dig. So this river anchor, the weight helps it, but it doesn't necessarily have as much holding power as that lighter, smaller Danforth anchor. Now, the benefit behind this, of course, it's a little more forgiving to some extent, especially if you're in a water body like Lake Apatcong or any water body that's got a soft bottom. You got a soft bottom? Soft bottom being the bottom of the lake is soft. And so this sand's like a great example because if you drop that anchor in there with a soft bottom, if you notice on its own, it digs in pretty well, right? And then of course, when I let out some line, it's kind of lodged in there. I don't know if you can take a peek here. Like I'm pulling on that. So being it's a little bit dumber, I don't have to be as precise with my scope. Now, mind you, if I don't let out enough line though, it still works well, but not that great. So these river anchors, they work pretty well. They're not great. And of course, the same thing in these, when I have to get them out, when I get above it, I pull it out. Oh, that one's even harder. And I dislodge it, and then I got to lift it up. And it's a lot heavier. Anyway, I thought that'd be pretty cool. I don't know, any questions out there? Cool. So I thought I'd do a couple different types. Pardon?
A lot of people watching.
Oh, thanks for watching, everybody. If you're just hopping in here and you're wondering, like, what is this guy doing? Because that's what happens sometimes when you're doing live. Like, you just roll on some cat playing in the snow. Like, what the hell am I doing here? My name is Ray. I'm owner here at Bridge Marina in Lake Hopatcong and Highlands, New Jersey. And I just thought I'd use the snow as a good opportunity to show people how anchors work. And I've got this river anchor, which is sort of a, we say it's kind of a dumb, heavy anchor. And then I got a Danforth over there. I'm just showing folks, like, if this were the bottom of the water body and my left hand was the boat, when I go to anchor, how it works. If you could see, that anchor kind of fell into the snow because it weighs 20 pounds. Like, this thing isn't super light. So when you drop it, it digs into the water body. And then as you drift back with the boat, again, pretending I'm the boat, the anchor will turn over. And when it turns over, it digs in. The flukes kind of get stuck. Not only because they got the large flukes, but also because there's weight behind those flukes that make it drive in and hold. I imagine that slope isn't the most advantageous to showing this. I'll try to do back here a little bit more so you can see. But once again, I drop that anchor in. You already noticed it kind of got stuck in the water body. And then when my boat drifts away and I finally hold that anchor tight, that line tight, it digs. And it digs in. Snow's a little soft there, but there we go. And now it sticks in the water body. And of course, if I'm anchoring, my boat's holding. So it works pretty well. I will say when we use that Danforth style one, it is a lot easier to handle. This is a pretty heavy anchor. So if you're asking, your kids or your missus to do this, it'll be a little harder. And of course, the larger boat you get, the more you need. And when this thing starts to become a 30-pound anchor, like, anchoring becomes a workout. And I don't know if that's what you want to do when you're going out in the water, but you certainly are going to if you use this kind of anchor. Hopefully that helped a little bit. I'm going to jump back since I got everybody. I'm just going to throw on the Danforth. And now for anybody's popping on and going, Ray, it's a pretty cruddy anchor. Yeah, it kind of is. And if anybody's asking, Ray, you're not using the right tackle? Yeah, I know I'm not. It's snowing out. It doesn't really matter. I'm just trying to give everybody a quick idea of how this works. And this right here is a relatively cheap, small fluke or Danforth style anchor here. And I just want to show how that works in the snow, which would be the water body. So this one's super light, like super light, probably weighs 5 pounds. When I throw that in the snow, or if that were the bottom of the water body, and then I let out my line, if you notice, those flukes start to dig in, and then they dig in, it's like a plow, so they're now holding in the bottom of the water body, and that's what's holding my boat. So if you notice between that 20-pound anchor and this one, they both are working about the same. It's just, that particular anchor is a little bit lighter to use, and depending on the type of bottom of the lake, this one probably has a little bit more flexibility. The river works great in soft sediments. This will work in soft, a little bit, sand, gravel, where that just really won't. And this one's nice and easy to use because it's light. So anybody can pick up or drop off your anchor. I don't know, I hope that was helpful. If there are any questions, feel free to reach out to us. I know it's wintertime, at least here in New Jersey it is. But if you are thinking about boating, or you're either getting into it or you're in boating and trying to change up what you're doing, reach out to us. We're here to help you. If that means education, training, rentals, boating club, boat sales, that's what we do, both here and in Highlands, New Jersey. I'd be glad to help you. Or if you want to come out and play in the snow. Either way, I appreciate you watching, and I look forward to seeing you on the water.